Prince. Gifted, outrageous, enigmatic. He captured the imagination of a generation with his diverse mix of musical styles and larger-than-life.
You think Purple Rain is just a rock opera launched by a dizzying guitar solo. And yes, it is that, but did you know? Prince actually blacked out during the final concert scene and refused to reshoot it. That raw, shivering crescendo isn't performance, it's delirium. And just before we dive in, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers as a small channel. If you'd like to help me keep digging into the strange side of cinema, consider hitting that subscribe button. It truly means a lot. 15 mind-blowing facts about Purple Rain you didn't know. Prince blacked out during the final concert scene and kept it in. You've seen it. The lights drop, the crowd roars, and Prince erupts into the final trembling chords of Purple Rain. What you didn't know, he blacked out mid-performance. It was nearly 4 a.m. on a soundstage cranked to inferno levels for atmosphere. Dehydrated and strung out on adrenaline, he collapsed off camera. The crew assumed they'd need a retake, but when Prince reviewed the footage, something in the collapse looked mythic. "Leave it," he said. That blackout wasn't a mistake, it was poetry. It wasn't clean or cinematic. It was the moment art stopped pretending. You're watching a man disintegrate into his own music and somehow rise out of it. That final shot didn't crown him king, it canonized him. The movie almost didn't happen unless Prince got total control. Prince wasn't looking to star in a movie. He was trying to carve out creative immortality. Warner Brothers was skeptical. A moody rock musical starring an eccentric pop icon. Too risky. But Prince wasn't begging, he was drawing lines. He handed in a script treatment, composed a 100-minute demo album to prove the music would carry the narrative, and told them he'd walk if he didn't have final cut. The studio relented, but only barely. His director, Albert Magnoli, was brought in not just to shoot scenes, but to manage Prince's volatility. That control, however, birthed something rare, a pop movie where nothing feels studio polished. It's impulsive, jagged, alive. The story isn't just about artistic freedom, it was made because of it. The club in the film, that's First Avenue, and it's haunted with real sweat. That stage you see, drowning in purple gels and reverb, that's First Avenue, the Minneapolis club where Prince made his bones. He played over 80 shows there before Purple Rain filmed. The walls were real, the graffiti was real, so was the heat. Production didn't install AC because Prince wanted it sweaty, like the real thing. By the time cameras rolled, the place was soaked in history. Apollonia had never played live on a stage like that before. Every look of awe, fear, or chemistry you see isn't character work, it's survival. She once said, "It was like entering a temple. You felt him in the walls." The movie doesn't just show you a venue, it immortalizes a sanctum. Apollonia's audition was a fever dream of fire, escapes, and frozen lakes. Apollonia Kotero wasn't the first pick, Vanity was. But after Vanity left the project weeks before shooting, Prince was scrambling. Enter Apollonia, an actress with little musical experience and a name so perfectly Prince-esque, he kept it. Her audition, rushed, brutal. They made her run lines on a frozen Minneapolis street in stilettos, then threw her into a full-dress chemistry test with Prince. She hadn't even read the full script yet. Prince, cold and cryptic, barely looked at her until the camera rolled, then his eyes locked. Magnoli said the temperature dropped. The scene played electric. She got the part. What followed was a crash course in pop mythology, thrown into dance rehearsals, studio sessions, and emotional whiplash. Welcome to Paisley Park. That lake scene, Apollonia got hypothermia, and Prince laughed, "Take off your clothes. Purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka." Sounds seductive, looks spiritual, but behind the lens, Apollonia dove into an icy, bacteria-ridden lake in early spring. The temperature was just above freezing. She emerged gasping, shivering, and possibly blue-lipped. That wasn't acting. She was in the early stages of hypothermia. Crew had to wrap her in heated blankets between takes. Prince, he chuckled. Legend says he told her afterward. That wasn't even Lake Minnetonka. Whether it was a line, or a prank, or a bizarre power move, it stuck. The line became iconic, the scene immortal. But for Apollonia, it wasn't mystic. It was frostbite and method acting by accident. She paid the price so we could feel the chill. Prince's motorcycle, that was his baby and a nightmare to film. The purple motorcycle you see gliding through alleys and exploding onto stage-lit streets, that wasn't set dressing. It was Prince's own custom Honda-matic 400A, modified with a bizarre handlebar setup and velvet seat. But the thing barely ran. The engine stalled constantly, and Prince, who was not an experienced biker, demanded to ride it himself. The film's crew had to choreograph entire scenes around its finicky nature. During one pivotal ride-off shot, the bike died halfway down the road. They pushed it out of frame, then edited it to look like he roared off into the moonlight. Prince didn't care. To him, the bike was symbolic. It wasn't a prop, it was the kid's freedom, his escape, his throne. Even when it broke down, it never stopped moving forward. The mirror-slapping scene wasn't in the script and almost got cut. You know the one. Prince stands before the mirror, shirtless and spiraling, slapping himself into a near trance. It's raw, it's unnerving, and it wasn't in the original script. Prince improvised the moment during a late-night shoot. He told no one. He just walked into the room, turned to the glass, and began. Magnolia kept rolling. Afterward, the producers debated cutting it. Too intense, too strange. But Magnolia fought for it. That scene, he said, is the whole film. It's the kid confronting the father in himself, trying to exorcise pain by mimicking abuse. And Prince, he never explained it. He just walked off set, eyes glazed, like he'd seen a ghost, maybe his own. Morris Day was so good at being bad, he almost took over the movie. Morris Day, the peacocking frontman of the time and Prince's real-life frenemy, was never supposed to steal the spotlight. But then he started ad-libbing, improvising taunts, tossing off lines like, "What's the password?" and "Jerome," with such effortless sleaze that even the crew broke character. His charisma was dangerous, scene-chewing, and electric. Prince, famously territorial, was reportedly rattled. There were tense moments off-screen. Magnolia leaned in, though. He let Morris run wild, kept the cameras rolling, and thank God he did. Morris became the perfect villain. Funny, cruel, flamboyant, unforgettable. Some say the film works because Prince was playing defense. When Day enters, you can feel the heat rise. That wasn't rivalry. It was combustion. Computer Blue was originally 14 minutes long and completely psychedelic. You only hear a slice of it in the film, but Computer Blue once spanned 14 minutes. The original cut included extended instrumental breakdowns, a poetry monologue by Wendy and Lisa, and a long hypnotic solo Prince recorded while allegedly in a lucid dream state. It was, according to insiders, unhinged but beautiful. Warner Brothers panicked when they saw the length. Even Magnolia winced. It broke the pacing, risked dragging the movie into a dream sequence it couldn't escape. Prince finally agreed to chop it down to the tight, thumping version you hear in the club scene, but he kept the best parts buried in the vault. The full version wouldn't see daylight until decades later. To this day, it's one of Prince's most mythologized edits. A song too wild for 1984, too perfect to disappear. The love symbol secretly appears in the film before it had a name. You won't notice it on first watch, but if you look closely at Prince's guitar, the stage monitors, and even his belt buckle, there it is, the love symbol, not yet known by name, not yet adopted as his identity, but it's there, lurking. Prince had been sketching it for years, fusing symbols of masculinity and femininity, rebellion and grace. During filming, he began tagging equipment with the glyph, testing its visual resonance. It wasn't until the 90s that he legally changed his name to the symbol and launched the infamous artist formerly known as Era. But Purple Rain was the seed. The glyph's first appearance wasn't a branding stunt. It was a private icon slipping into the public eye, a premonition in plain sight. The club crowd, half were real fans who had no idea it was a movie. You feel it in the air during every performance scene. The crowd isn't acting. That's because they weren't hired extras. They were real Prince fans invited to a free concert at First Avenue. They thought it was a live set. What they got was a guerrilla film shoot. Cameras circled them. Prince performed multiple takes. The energy you feel, sweat, hysteria, devotion, is 100% unfiltered. No script, no direction, just a Minneapolis crowd caught in a surreal night where their idol kept restarting songs for technical reasons. Prince didn't break character, ever. Fans said they didn't even realize it was a movie until weeks later. What they witnessed wasn't a film set. It was a church, a fever dream, a memory etched in amps and fog. Prince refused to lip sync and nearly derailed production standard music film protocol. Record in studio, lip sync on set. Prince didn't play that game. He insisted on performing live during filming, amp feedback and all. The sound team nearly revolted. It's impossible, they said. We'll never get clean audio. But Prince was adamant. He claimed the energy wouldn't translate unless he actually played, actually sang, with the real crowd roaring back. After multiple mic tweaks, tech rewiring, and frantic compromises, the crew gave in. What you hear in some performance scenes is live audio, imperfections and all. It's not just brave, it's borderline unhinged. But that rawness, that's what burns through the screen. Prince didn't just want to be filmed, he wanted to be witnessed. The mirror scene with the father was almost too real for Prince. There's a moment in Purple Rain that doesn't look like acting. It looks like exorcism. The kid finds his father's sheet music after a suicide attempt, then quietly breaks down. No screaming, no stagey grief, just trembling silence. What you didn't know. Prince struggled to shoot it. His own father, a jazz musician, had a complicated legacy, sometimes supportive, sometimes absent. The fictional suicide mirrored real-life fears Prince carried about becoming emotionally cold, creatively obsessed, and isolated. During filming, he reportedly stopped mid-scene, walked off, and didn't speak to anyone for hours. When he returned, he did the take in one go. Tears unscripted, breath shallow. That's not performance, that's memory wearing a costume. It's where the kid ends and Prince begins. I Would Die For You was added after the film wrapped in a midnight frenzy. You think that song was always meant for the finale, but it wasn't even recorded when filming wrapped. Prince came back from tour and wrote I Would Die For You in a burst of insomnia. He recorded it in one night, played every instrument, and brought it to Magnolia saying, I think this is the resurrection. They spliced it into the final performance montage like a prayer. And it works. The beat pulses like defibrillation. The lyrics twist narcissism into sacrifice. For Prince, it wasn't just a song, it was the character's redemption. The track helped Purple Rain transform from cautionary tale to spiritual rebirth. It wasn't planned, it was instinct. And that instinct saved the film's soul. Prince planned a sequel called The Second Coming, but it was buried. After the storm of Purple Rain's success, Prince wanted to go deeper, not bigger, deeper. He wrote a follow-up script titled The Second Coming. It was stranger, darker, laced with apocalyptic imagery and religious overtones. The kid would return, not as a rock star, but as a spiritual prophet haunted by fame. Prince reportedly shot some early footage. None of it was ever released. Warner Brothers panicked. The film was shelved, the tapes locked away in Paisley Park's infamous vault. To this day, no full script has surfaced, just fragments, rumors, and one eerie confirmation from a bandmate he was going to crucify the kid. In other words, Purple Rain was never the end. It was just act one of a larger prophecy. Purple Rain wasn't supposed to work. It was too weird, too emotional, too stitched together with ego and sweat. But Prince didn't care about supposed to. He blacked out on stage, rewrote the finale after filming, weaponized heartbreak, and lit the screen with electricity you can still feel decades later. He didn't just give us a film, he gave us a myth. One soaked in glitter, haunted by real trauma, and forever echoing with that final chord. High, trembling, purple, and somehow eternal. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video and subscribe to our channel to be the first to see our new uploads. Comment if you want to see a part 2.